What the hell?
So how long have you been here broadcasting out of here?
Oh, about 6 months out of this location.
Nice. It's actually a nice little quiet area around this part of downtown.
Yeah, and it's close, to everything.
Convenient.
Good afternoon, Las Vegas. This is Clark coming to you with the herd live from Las Vegas, Nevada. Used to be Sin City, now we're just another city with a lot of sin. But anyways, that's a discussion for another day. With me today is Matthew Sadler, and he is running for the Assembly in District 18, I believe it is. And he's one of these new breed that's cropping up in the country called an outsider, because he hasn't run for office or haven't held office before. And that makes him one of these pure, clean ideologues that may just be able to do something in this country for the people. He hasn't been bought and paid for yet, and I like that. And that's what we need in this country. So welcome, Matthew. Introduce yourself and see what you have to say.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Matt Sadler. I'm born and raised here in Las Vegas. I am running for Assembly District 18. Just a little bit about myself. Proud husband, wife Sharon, 2 children, Abigail and Cruz. Just really happy to have the opportunity to try to throw my name in the hat and try to fight for some change. More so than just change, try to not add things to our already overburdened government here, but hopefully to put a stop and maybe repeal some of the strange things that have been happening in recent years here.
Well, before we went on the air, we had a little discussion about, I think the legislature has to get a policy that if they want to pass a new law, they have to throw 2 out. And that might be a good place to start, because we have way too many burdensome regulations and laws that nobody, quite frankly, understands. You can't. How do you look through the trees in the forest like that? You don't know what to do anymore.
Right. Agreed.
So, good luck on that one. I mean, but anyways, everybody has their own little special interest in this and that, and their agenda, and that's what you got to watch out for. Donald Trump was on doing a speech today somewheres, and he was saying that his first criteria on anything that he does is look through the eyes of, is it good for America?
That's good.
And that's what we need. We need legislators, people in the Assembly, the Senate, whatever, before they do anything, ask, why are we doing this? Is this good for the people in Nevada?
Exactly.
And 90% of the time they're going to get an answer, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Or throw it in the trash,
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have a lot of incompetence just rampant throughout all, states and counties and stuff across this nation, where you have people that aren't really qualified to be anything. And here they are trying to pass laws and everything. And what are their qualifications? It just disturbs me that you have these incompetents, I call them, trying to figure things out, or they can't figure out their own lives. And they certainly are not in a position to be telling us what to do. I'd like this one. They passed a law about they didn't want people using cell phones or texting, I think was the real basis, which I agree with. I see these people driving down the road and they're texting. Well, that's a little dangerous,
Yeah,
but when you get a phone call, what's the problem answering your friggin' phone is like listening to the radio. What the hell are you talking about? But these legislators, they go overboard and pass, and all it is, it becomes revenue enhancement. Now you have all these cops pulling everybody over left and right just for talking on their cell phone, and that's stupid.
Right.
Okay, but this is what people do. I was on the 15 one day, blocked in bumper, not even bumper to bumper, it was a parking lot, and I was late for a meeting. So my phone rings. The people are wondering where the hell I am, right? Natural. So I answer the damn phone. Well, I knew there was a highway patrol guy behind me, but we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We haven't moved for 15 friggin' minutes, So I answer the phone. So wait, pam, he puts on his lights. Well, I'm on the left lane. I have to, try to get over 5 lanes of traffic. He's whoop, like I'm not stopping right away.
Yeah.
What is wrong with these idiots? What, did he fail a test and they made him a cop? I mean, what the hell's going on? They have no common sense.
It's the unintended consequences of when you jump the gun, when you legislate, when you add a regulation without thoroughly thinking through the consequences. Like you said, you wind up with situations like that. And now he made the commute longer for everyone else behind you.
And what happens? Wherever that money goes, the revenue enhancement, these people just pay whatever
Right.
to, get it done and get it out of the way. And so it's extortion.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And these are the things that, I don't know how you stop it, but I go to court on everything because I know how the system's played.
Mm-hmm.
So you make yourself more trouble than you're gonna be worth. And then eventually,
Yeah.
like the cop actually showed up. This highway patrol guy showed up at my court date.
Remembered you, huh?
Yeah, and I said something to him, like, you having fun, pulling people parked in their cars, oh yeah, I do it all the time. I go, okay, well, we'll see what the judge thinks about it, And then he got up, and he wasn't there anymore. So, the prosecutor, I go, well, get me the hell out, what's going on? Well, the police were here to leave. I go, no, you didn't have to leave, you didn't have a friggin' case, is what happened. So I'll see you later. No, you didn't have to wait, it'll be a couple hours before. So what they're gonna do is harass you to try to force you into, well, I'll just pay, $50.
Plead no contest,
Yeah,
pay the fine.
yeah. No, that's not gonna happen. So I said, all right, I'm gonna go get something to eat. I'll be there. Oh, you can't leave. Watch me,
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, well, hold on a second. So I forced her to actually do something, and that was the end of that, because they,
Nice.
dismissed it. So, but that's the way I do it, Well, welcome, Ed. Hello.
Well,
We had to start
I'm
out
sorry
here.
to be late.
Yeah.
You're Matthew?
Yep, Matthew. Good to meet
Matthew.
you.
So all we
And
done
you're-
really, he introduced himself, and we just
Oh.
started discussing some of my pet peeves. So
Yeah.
while we're
So-
waiting for you, so.
Introduce yourself to me if you don't
Oh,
mind.
no problem, yeah.
You're running for District
District 18.
18?
Yeah, that covers the southeastern part of Las Vegas and parts of Henderson out in that way.
So along Nellis, for example?
Yeah, parts of Nellis
Oh.
do enter into my district.
I
yeah.
see.
Yeah.
And you're running as what, a Democrat?
I'm running as a Republican.
Yes.
Republican, one and two, yeah.
And who's the incumbent in that seat?
The incumbent is Richard Carrillo.
Richard Carrillo?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And he's a Democrat?
He's a Democrat.
Yeah. He tends to be a fairly conservative Democrat.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah. I mean,
Why did you
some-
decide to, who, are you running in a primary campaign?
Yeah, there's a primary,
And who is
other
your-
Republican.
Who's your opponent there?
Christine DeCourt.
I don't know, yeah, right, okay. And so what made you decide to jump in, and what is your idea, how do you distinguish
Yeah.
yourself from
Well-
Richard and Ms. DeCourt?
Yeah, I would say, growing up here in Southern Nevada, in Las Vegas, born and raised out here, being active, an active member of the business community, just kind of seeing the way that things have been changing in the last, since I've been in the business community for going on 8 or 9 years now, just seeing things getting a little bit harder and harder. The burden's kind of increasing in a state which at one time was probably the least burdened state in the union, most business-friendly atmosphere, where if you didn't like how things were going in California, your first choice was going to be, let me start something up in Nevada.
Okay.
It's really easy, cheap to start a business. And after seeing the way things have been changing in the two industries that I was involved in, first real estate and now in the bail bonds industry, it really gave me a good insight into how this is almost unsustainable for a business owner like me to enter now. If I were to try this again, say in 10 years, going down the path that we're going down, it would almost be an impossibility.
So you've really been struck by the anti-business
Yes.
developments in the state.
Yeah.
The people that one of the most aggressive anti-business policies is of course the tax bill.
Right.
The $1.5 billion increase in taxes last year. Was it last year? Yeah, 2015.
2015.
Yeah, and the people that that supported that are saying, oh, we're still the fifth
Right.
most friendly business state. So are we fooling ourselves, or who are they fooling themselves?
Well, I mean, what you have is a trajectory that even our Republican legislators have now put us on, to where it's not gonna be that way for long. If it truly is that we're still number 5, the trajectory we're headed on right now, when you open the door for extra burdens, for extra taxes, extra regulations, the community is gonna keep getting pinched and pushed. And I mean, sales tax, for instance, when I was a kid out here, my earliest memories were right around, I think, 4.5%, 5% on sales tax, and I can remember my parents really complaining and saying, when I first got here, there was barely any sales tax at all, and now we're shooting up to, you know, what are we at now, 8.15 or something like that, and soon to go up again.
Yeah.
And it's just those little you know, nudges. You know, you open your eyes 10 years from now, where are we going to be?
Yeah.
Not to say that certain people, I'm not going to, you know,
It's
belittle opponents that I'm running against per se, because I'm not really running in this election to go against anybody in particular, but to just, instead of being the guy that's complaining in front of my family, in front of my dogs, I want to be the guy that actually can try to do something about it. And if that means just going into, and we were talking about it a little bit earlier, going in there and doing my best to just stop things from even happening, or repealing things, even if I never vote for a particular bill at all, could be a victory, you know?
Yes, it's not going to be a couple of years.
Yeah.
Next year,
Yeah.
they want to get the $400 million that is theirs. In other words, it belongs to the government, due to the caps on property taxes.
Yeah.
In other words, they want to get rid of the tax caps.
Yeah.
That have cost them
Yeah.
$400 million of their dollars
like how they put
out of
it,
our pockets.
it's always as if, you know, that we're
It's
taking
just
money
incredible.
from the government.
Yeah.
It's how they frame the argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how the Democrats frame the argument. That's right.
Yeah.
So this isn't going to happen in several years. It's going to happen in the next legislature.
Yeah.
And they're all prepared to do this. They're having what's called the Southern Nevada Forum, which is a breakup of the legislature in different subject areas, and one taxation, and they're going to recommend this tax.
Yeah.
And
that would burden the taxpayer.
oh, that's true, 400 million. But they have other. They're recommending all the most costly programs in each of the areas. It's a bunch of legislators that all approve, with very few exceptions. Everyone I've seen there approved the tax increase, and were endorsed by the Chamber of Commerce even.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. And this is like the world in reverse.
Yeah.
And they are the ones that are making the selection of what should be the legislative agenda for 2017. And on May 5th, they have their meeting to decide their projects. They pick the most expensive ones in the 2 areas that I've observed.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
Yeah, because I mean, I was just talking to my wife about one of the things that drew me to running for a state office was, and it's inherent, you know, it's already in our Constitution, to where, you know, we're only meeting every other year,
right,
for only a limited amount of time. We're not
Thank
really
heavens.
in position where we are, you know, where we're professional legislators, politicians, you know, like other states, I won't name them, that this is your job, and you're working 12 months out of the year, and your job is just to create laws, and it puts pressure on creating laws that have no business being created, just so you can appear that you're doing something.
But imagine if they had more time.
Yeah.
It would be worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's bad enough as it is, you're right.
A lot of damage can get done in 3-4 months.
Yeah. And I appreciate your goal of removing some of these taxes, and removing some of these laws.
Yeah, it's almost not enough to stop things. There's some retroactive stuff that has to happen. I got an example. I haven't had a chance to really talk to anybody about this, but I'm in an industry where I'm kind of on the front lines with seeing some of these actual situations play out. But for instance, we signed, legislation was signed into law in 2015 where if you had and this is the first that I've heard of in our state where this could actually happen to someone when they're not guilty of a felony, but if you have a misdemeanor conviction of domestic battery or a domestic violence related incident, that you no longer can own a gun. And on the face of that, and we were talking about unintended consequences earlier before we went live here, was that, I don't know if folks know this, but the way the Nevada law is to where if there's an incident, for instance, someone has to go to jail. So the police are compelled to put one party in custody whenever there's a domestic dispute.
Yeah.
Well, once you're in jail and say you don't want to pay to bail out or you can't, the first thing that happens is you get district attorneys, and this is part of also what you were talking about, how there is this inherent kind of, I wouldn't say so far as say corruption in the judiciary aspects of Southern Nevada, although you can make that
certainly
argument.
corruption of the Constitution.
Yeah, and there's pressure to go ahead and offer these folks deals. Hey, take this deal. You don't have to go to jail. You just pay a fine. Well, little do they know, when they sign that line, they get released from jail.
Yeah,
they have this conviction now, and they might not even be guilty of it, but for the sake of going home, now they've got this on their record, and now they're prohibited from owning a firearm.
Yeah,
It's an unintended consequence that you can see happen.
No, it's an intended consequence.
I think it
because they want the jails full, they want to have their staff all working and hire more staff.
Right.
And have bigger union.
Yeah.
And they want to have guilty pleas under their belt.
That's true.
A high conviction rate.
Yeah.
But they don't want to go to trial.
Right.
Okay, so the police overcharge the people or do something that causes a problem.
Yeah.
And the district attorney then has the ammunition to use the plea bargain as a weapon against them, because they tell them if you go to court, you're going to be in jail for 5 years.
Yeah.
Whereas if you accept this, you won't have to go at all.
Yeah.
I mean, and so that's right.
Yeah. So whether you did it or not, just for the fact of, okay, I don't want to be in this cell with 9 other people, sharing a bathroom. Yeah. What do I got to do? Where do I sign to get out of here? And then now you've got someone who's not even a felon that has this restriction on their Second Amendment.
That's right.
So that's just one of probably a few laws that I think weren't
There are
clearly thought through.
many laws like that. And we certainly need criminal justice reform.
Yeah.
To keep this large number of people out of jail. I mean, it's just incredible. The United States has more people in jail than any other country.
That's true.
In absolute terms, and by far in per capita terms. Well, are we Americans that much worse than everyone else in the world? Are we?
No, I would say not. Not yet. Hopefully
I
not.
thought we were the good people in the world.
They're the worst in the world.
Yeah.
There's dictators and there's third world countries that at least that they're dictators, so you know what to expect from them. In this country, you expect your constitutional rights, and they've been taken away from you.
That's true.
So you don't know what to expect. It's worse than the mafia.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, that's right. It's totally upside down.
Yep.
What other areas are you interested in?
Some of my biggest concerns, well, obviously, is going to be the burdens and excessive taxes on Nevada's business owners. When you talk about the commerce tax, for instance, an argument's made, well, this doesn't really hurt the lower end businesses, but when you're talking about someone's gross receipts exceeding a certain amount, and then you're gonna whack them with extra taxes,
regardless of whether they make a profit.
Exactly. You can be spending $5 million and taking in $4 million, and now you're affected by this law. But why in the world would we ever institute something to where you're putting any kind of downward pressure on people expanding their business?
That's right.
So
why are you penalizing people for doing hiring people?
And when there's mandates, when you have 50 or more employees and you're subject to this aspect of the Affordable Care Act, what's that gonna do to the average business? If they can hire 60 people, the first thing they're gonna do, well, how do I keep 49 or less? And why would you wanna institute things like that are gonna be, it's basically cheerleading in the wrong direction. It's cheerleading for
Exactly.
businesses to stay small and to
Yeah.
not expand
Yeah, not create jobs.
and to not create jobs.
Yeah, it's totally turned upside down, and now we even have the Chamber of Commerce fighting against business.
Right.
And
When their whole purpose is supposed to be
Yeah,
to set an environment that's friendly for
Yeah.
business and commerce.
yeah,
Absolutely.
they're supporting the commerce tax.
Yeah.
They're supporting all these new programs that are
Yeah.
going to be very costly.
Well, the state business license increases, you know, I mean, and the argument can be made, well, should you even be starting a business if you can't afford an extra $200 or $300? Well, that's not really the point, that's not really the argument, but there does come a point where a small business person or a real estate agent who, you know, they have to carry a state business license, what if that's the straw that breaks their back and they say, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna get my real estate license. I'm not gonna do this. This is too much money.
That's happening. There's one, I know of one company that handles thousands of corporations.
Mm-hmm.
And 25 people a day are not renewing their corporation.
Right.
And those are potential corporations that might grow. There's a
Right.
potential for having meetings here in Las Vegas. Now they will do it in Wyoming
Right.
or some other area where they don't have to pay as much. And
sometimes
they pretend like nothing's happening.
And sometimes even the perception becomes a reality, because if you're a Californian who, you know, they're getting taxed up the wazoo over there, and you're looking to relocate your business, if Nevada's put in this perception that we're doing these extra tax increases on businesses, you're thinking, okay, well, where can I go where that's not even on the radar? Where can I go where that's not?
That's right.
Let's just
not a
jump over
possibility.
Nevada and let's go to Texas and
That's
start
right.
our business.
Yeah.
And
Well,
That's one reason Texas is exploding.
Exactly.
Well, Texas has this margins tax. It's one of the 2 or 3 states that have it.
Right.
And they're trying to get rid of it, but here in Nevada, we adopted it.
Yeah.
But that's true.
We're choosing the wrong
There's-
role models. We're trying to be more like states that.
Yeah, well,
Wrong.
Texas is basically a good role model,
Oh, yeah.
except for that,
Except for
except for
that
that one tax. But it's just amazing that
Yeah.
how we've let things slip by. And I think, you know, the people voted in 2014 against the margins tax.
Yes.
And they voted 4-1 against it, 80% to 20%
Yeah,
against
it was a landslide. Right?
And have you talked to any people in your district and found out their views on this? I think that's the most, a really powerful issue, because it's
Yeah.
already gone through the mill.
Yeah.
And of the people in your district, for sure, 80% of them voted against it.
Yeah, I would say
now it's up again.
Of a lot of the folks in my district, all the times it can be disheartening, because you'll meet the greatest people in my district who it's not on their radar. And part of the reason why it's not on their radar is because some of these people in the district, they're actually worrying about things like now they've got to work a second dealer's job at part-time with no
Yeah.
benefits, where, you know, in years past they were fully benefits, you know, making great income.
Right.
But it's almost as if these things that are done, you know, in Carson City, in Washington D.C., are done in such a way that only the folks that are really, I think, in tune with it, and that could be other small business owners that I've come into contact with day to day, that are actually knowledgeable about what's really happening. When they see what happened with this tax increase, the average person, I have to kind of explain it. What some of these taxes were, they look at it and think it's just their cigarettes are, you know, going up by $1 a pack, you know, due to the extra taxation. But when you explain it to them, and then the light comes back on, and they say, wow, this is, I had no idea. You know, here I am thinking that Nevada's a very tax-friendly state, and we're heading down this road. So yeah, the people that I've spoken to that give me the time and allow me to kind of introduce myself, and I can explain some of these things on how I view them. They're very receptive and they're supportive of it, and I can only hope that every one of them will actually go to their polling place and vote.
Yeah, and And how do you intend to get that message out? Can you use the previous vote against the margins tax? Does that help? Can you use, there's a petition to remove it? Now we formed a Nevada IRS. Have you seen the form that every business has to fill out?
My forms for my business are taken care of by a third party, but yeah, I've noticed that there's increased paperwork.
No, but now they haven't put out the final form, but they have a draft form of the Nevada IRS, and every single business has to make a declaration whether they have more or less than $4 million.
Oh, in regard to the
commerce tax.
commerce.
Yeah, we have an IRS here in Nevada to collect a portion of people's income.
Right. Yeah, it's
they just called it a different name.
Yeah, and what it is it is an income tax.
Yeah.
Which, I never thought I'd see the day this early that we would actually have an income tax in Nevada.
No, these people are fanatics they believe that every dollar in the state somehow belongs to them, and they're being generous by letting us have the money we've earned.
Yeah.
And they want to create jobs in the public sector because those are high-paying jobs. Mm-hmm. Well, how do they make them high-paying jobs? By putting people in the private sector, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 people in the private sector out of work.
Yeah.
That's how they create a job in the public sector.
Yeah.
And they think those have living wage. They throw all these buzzwords out.
Yeah.
And so what? Everyone has to work for the for the government, for the state or local government, or that's what we're headed toward.
If we go down this
Who's
road,
going to produce?
Yeah. You're not going to have anything to take from the producers anymore. You have to print their money.
Yeah.
To pay them.
That's right.
The government
and another one of their arguments is that what was it? That the reason companies don't move here is because our education system isn't good enough. And of course, the eternal solution to the education is spend more money.
Yeah.
But what do they do to cause those companies to move here? They remove the taxes that they put on everyone else.
Yeah.
They give them a tax-free environment to work in.
Right.
And that's how they get them to move. It isn't because of the education system.
Yeah.
These people are being untruthful.
Yeah, they need to level that playing field and make it a tax-friendly environment for
the same for everyone.
Instead of picking and choosing their.
Yeah, if they really want to provoke jobs, why not get rid of all the business license fees?
Right.
And encourage people to set up businesses.
Yeah.
Reward them for doing it.
Exactly.
Don't penalize them.
Yeah.
No.
It's things like this that are going to require, like you said, when you have that form that you have to file for even a business like mine, I'm nowhere near, that threshold to where I would really have to worry about that yet, Hopefully I'll get there, but the fact that I have to submit that compliance paperwork, that in and of itself is a burden on everyone.
It's pass the taxes to the people, so all the people that buy anything are paying that tax, whether they realize it or not.
Yeah.
So it affects everybody. It affects the entire economy.
That's another factor.
Yeah,
That's
it's a fundamental misunderstanding by bureaucrats and people that make their living off of the machinery of bureaucracy, that they don't understand how businesses have profit margins. Businesses are going to do what it takes and that profit margin might be very small. And what happens is you burden them, you tax them, and the main person that's going to be paying it is going to be the consumer. Is going to be the person that's buying your product.
It should be a lot easier to keep a business already functioning than it is to find new businesses to replace a business that goes away. Keep what you have. And then your burden is not going to be as intense to try to get new. You're not going to get it.
Yeah.
Keep what you got. Support the plants that are already there.
That's true.
Water them. Don't just rip them out by the roots.
That's true.
And that's what they're doing. Of course, the real solution to everything is like Nancy Pelosi. Well, unemployment's great because for every dollar we spend, we get $1.79 back. So the real solution to that is everybody goes on unemployment.
Yeah.
And we've got a GNP increase in 79% on every dollar.
Yeah.
It'd be phenomenal. These are the type of leaders we have.
Yeah, this is the
Bizarre
type
world.
of thinking, somehow they didn't pass arithmetic
Yeah.
in their public schools.
She was the
Right.
leader of the Congress at the time.
No wonder they want to improve the public schools, maybe that's the reason. But they
She was 2
believe,
steps away from the presidency.
But to
How scary
improve the
was that?
schools, what do? They hire more administrators,
Yeah,
which just makes the whole function of the school worse.
yeah.
Everything's backwards, everything's upside down
Everything.
because you don't have any common sense running anything now. I want to teach in schools a new class that I've never heard of in my whole years, is CS 101, Common Sense 101. Why can't we teach common sense? It's very easy to teach it.
Yeah.
If you had a, educated person that knew what common sense was, it's very easy to teach, but nobody does.
Yeah.
And nobody knows. You get people now that don't have any common sense.
Yeah, and when you get lucky enough to have an educator in there, a teacher in there, that's really doing a bang up job, that's doing a great job, it's almost as if they're doing
Well, it
it.
makes everyone
They're doing
else
it,
look bad.
and they're doing it despite how education is run in the state, not because of it.
Right.
They're in there despite all the. It seems like sometimes we're doing our best to dissuade good teachers
Or run by
that don't follow the marching orders.
yeah, they just want control of people. They don't want real creativity or real,
Yeah.
they don't want young people to become entrepreneurs, they want them to become employees or even
Or
employees of government.
Yeah,
They
dependent.
want them to be dependent.
Yeah.
And the government will dictate their wages. They'll pass a law saying the minimum wage is $15.
Right.
Okay, so not understanding that cuts out a lot of people.
Yeah.
And even at that, why are they saying the minimum wage should be $15 for private sector people, but the minimum wage for working on a government project is about $60 an hour, $50 or $60 an hour? What happened?
Which is the living wage.
Yeah, which is the living wage. So if 15 is good for the economy, like they say, which they're totally lying through their teeth, but let's say they're telling the truth, and it was true. Well, wouldn't 50 be better?
Yeah.
100?
Yeah.
100?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, really go for
If
it.
you-
400. Yeah.
If you can arbitrarily pick the level, just why stop at
And how is
15?
that a free
It's
market?
insane. It's
Absolutely not.
What's the government got to do with just dictating what the wage should be? None.
They don't.
That's not in the Constitution. It's not protecting the country from foreign invaders.
And you could argue that minimum wages in general, whether they be $7.25 or $8.25, is how we have it now. An argument can be made that putting the pressure to put the wages up, what does that do to people that are working off the books or they're here illegally and they're collecting a wage? If you raise it up to $15 an hour, there's going to be businesses out there that are willing to pay people under the table $10 an hour. So your main beneficiary can be argued that it would be someone that's not going to be
Taxes will go
contributing,
down,
and they're not going to be contributing to the tax base anyway. So you take the person that you would have paid $9 an hour paying income taxes, and you give that job to someone undocumented, and they could be making
Everything
$10
has
an hour.
consequences. And in
Yeah.
government, usually when they pass something, it has the opposite result because the government can't do anything right.
Because the government operates on an opposite principle.
Right.
Private business operates on the principle of he who produces the most gets the most.
Right.
The government operates on the basis of he who can become the greatest victim, prove that they're really a victim, then they are the ones that are rewarded.
Right.
If the VA, for example, is performing badly, well then the solution is give them $10 billion more,
Right.
which is what they did. And this is the school district here. It's performing badly. What it needs is more money. Always more money,
We're
more money, more
administrators
money.
and principals and not teachers.
Right.
No, it's
And
pretty
Most of
amazing.
the powers to be.
And what I've noticed growing up, and you can chalk it up to whether it's in business, private parties, your friends. Very rarely, when people are there on hard times, could you say that they really have a legitimate income problem? And 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, it's a spending problem. Growing up with friends, that had better paying jobs than me most of my life. You know, I was friends with the valet parkers, the people that were bellhops, and I was in a regular office schlub, you know.
You were what? Office schlub?
Yeah, I won't say where, but just a regular office worker.
Yeah.
But by managing your money a certain way, you have money when you need it, whereas the other guy who makes sometimes twice as much as me is, hey, I can't go out this weekend because I gotta wait till I get paid, or I gotta pay my rent. Well, his issue wasn't that he needed more money.
Right.
His issue was that he's got a spending problem.
Yeah.
I mean, and that same microcosm there is what we see in the state government and the federal government especially. It's not they're making more money. They're taking in more money from the taxpayers than they've probably ever taken.
Absolutely.
And now they're saying that their need for more money is more than it's ever been. So what's going on?
That's right.
Stupid people.
That's right.
Yeah.
What business do you know has employees that are like, on this side you have D next to the name, on this side you have R in your company, so anything that D wants to do, R is going to oppose it, and everything R wants to do, D is going to oppose it. What would happen with a company that had that kind of internal structure going on?
Nothing gets
No
done.
matter what you propose,
Right.
I'm going to oppose it.
Yeah.
You know, what company would succeed? They would
Right.
fall flat on their face, and that's why we have $20 trillion in debt, because we have a political system that's divisive,
Yeah.
rather.
Divisive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
That's true.
We got to get rid of the parties, period. That's a cancer,
Yeah.
that's mesmatized.
Yeah.
And if you look into the party structures, like any bureaucracy, it becomes, the agenda itself now becomes, how do I self-sustain? What
Yeah.
keeps me going? And when you have that as your main motivation, like in the political parties, you see them going on into perpetuity, because their main focus now is not advancing an agenda or principle. It's how do we maintain our power? How do we maintain
You
our
have to spend your budget
Right.
so that you can get penciled in 8% more,
Mhm.
budget balance, whatever they call it, next year, because your expenses are gonna go up 8% every year.
Yeah.
So you have to spend what you got this year, otherwise they'll take some of it away from you. So what company runs like that,
Yeah.
you know? And the more they spend, the bigger their bonus.
Yeah.
It's just everything's backwards.
Yeah,
Everything is
backwards.
backwards.
Every single thing is backwards. Yeah. A lot of this is the budgeting procedure that they use. In looking at budgeting, what they look at first is what their wish list is.
Mhm.
And then they say, okay, this is what we need to do. Then they go say, okay, we're going to take from the taxpayers, we're going to borrow, we're going to do anything we have to be able to do this and this and this. Do these programs, none of which, by the way, have performance standards.
Right.
And they're not saying what they're going to do with it, they just say, oh, we need this.
Right.
So the process is backwards. They should find out how much money they have, and then analyze each program and see which ones are serving, or which ones are meeting performance standards, and then decide if we need something different, and if we have to take out some. But they can never take out anything.
And if the money's not there, then that one that's not of essential value gets cut.
Yeah.
And you put it to rest.
Yeah.
You don't start it and then you have to feed it. Okay, how am I going to feed this monster? that
Yeah,
I
you
started?
can't get rid of you can't get rid of programs. And that's being encouraged, once again, by the Chamber of Commerce, by the Nevada Taxation Organization. They look at what people's desires are first, what politicians' desires are, not which is always to spend more, not what the money they have available.
Yeah. It's kind of dangerous. It's like going to a
upside
furniture
down.
store with a credit card that's on
Yeah,
someone else's
exactly.
dime, and you charge it up, and okay, how are we going to pay for this?
Yeah, right.
Now we got to scurry and pay for our debt, and it's not the way to do anything.
Yeah, families don't operate on that basis if they're successful, and countries and governments can't either.
No.
Yet they keep using this method that's proven to be a failure.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, what other have you thought about getting people to sign the petition to repeal the commerce tax? You're aware that there's a petition out there, right?
Actually, no. To be honest with you.
Oh, okay. Well, the comptroller of the state initiated a referendum to be on the ballot, and they need 55,000 signatures to get the commerce tax back on the ballot, where people are virtually certain that it'll be undone, it'll be thrown out, and they're collecting signatures to do that. And I think that they could encourage people to sign that, because we need to gather probably about 80,000 signatures in order to have the 50,000 ballot ones.
Yeah,
No.
anything I can do
Excellent.
to
Okay.
multiply
Well, we'll
that
make
effort,
your
I'll be happy to,
Yeah. Maybe.
to include that in my canvassing campaign and just get out there and
Yeah.
get some signatures in my district.
Yeah.
And
Maybe.
get it out there.
Maybe we could
Thanks, Clark. I'll get you on here in a little bit.
get the petitions to you and make it available, and you could make it available to businesses
Yeah.
to work with the businesses. Because I think we can make this the basic issue of the campaign.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Okay, well, I really appreciate you coming
Yeah,
in
thank you for
today
inviting me, for sure.
and talking to us and telling us your ideas. I hope we've given you some chance to express
Yeah,
yourself.
definitely.
We haven't been too.
No, it's been great.
We haven't been. I hope we haven't been too oppressive.
No.
Do you want to tell people how they can get in touch with your campaign
Sure.
and how they can make contributions to your campaign? Are you accepting
Yeah,
contributions?
we are. We are on our website, which is mattsadlerfornevada.org. It's mattsadlerfornevada.org.
And is that for spelled out or is that for?
FOR. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
It's spelled out.
Matt
Okay.
Sadler, so it's spelled, I actually have another one, that if it's easier, it's mattfornevada.org, MATTFOR Nevada.org.
I see.
Yeah.
And both of them are .orgs, not
Yes,
.com.
not
Okay.
.coms.
Okay, that's important. Well, thank you very much,
Thank you
Matthew.
for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate the
Okay.
time.
Thank
Definitely.
you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if there's
Good luck.
anything we can do, else we can do, let us know.
Yeah, well, thank you
Okay.
for the avenue and the,
Thank you.
so other folks get to listen to me except my parents, my employees,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
my
get
family
out
and
there
all.
and talk to them.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
occasional person that I get to
Yes.
meet. It's great. Thank you.
Okay.
You can tell people that are interested to go to radiotribune.com.
Sure.
And this show's archived on there, so they can
Excellent.
bring it up, watch it at their convenience whenever.
Awesome.
So it's there 24 hours a day to watch if they want it.
I definitely will. I was
Yeah.
listening to you earlier today, and I plan on getting a lot of folks to be tuning in. It's a
good.
good show you got here.
Okay.
Good
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. All right. Off the mailbox.
Did you turn it?
Well, do we need
Yeah,
to?
turn it off,
And
yeah.
just start another one? Okay.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the area,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
just up
Thank
the
you.
street. Take care. It's good talking to you too.
Okay,
Thank you.
Matt, thanks
You're
again.
on. Yes, we met before, I'm sure. I don't know when, but anyway.
Government that myself and a lot of other common everyday working people are not so happy with. I'm a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. I put a total of 8 years service. I don't like the way our veterans are being treated. I don't like the major tax increase that was passed through the legislature in the 2015 session. A lot of people are unhappy about that. Our esteemed governor ran on a no tax increase policy, and then he, along with Michael Roberson and the rest of the Republican caucus in the legislature, went right along and passed that increase, and he signed it, and it's atrocious. And
So are you running as a Democrat?
I'm running as a Republican.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm
But
a
you-
Republican, but I
You have,
do not.
you have objections to certain
I-
Republicans.
Are you gonna stay a conservative? I guess that's the question.
You know, my thing is that I'm a very outspoken person. I say what I mean what I say, and I don't intend to sell my soul to the devil. If elected, I will not bow down to the elite, special interest, the lobbyist. You know, people say, well, everybody says that until they get in there and somebody offers them a fat envelope full of money to vote this way or that way on a particular issue. If that happens with me, I will say, hold on, let me have a news conference and ask my constituents, the people who elected me, if that's the way they want me to vote. If that's the way they want me to vote, that's the way I'll vote. If not, you can take your envelope full of money and you can stick it where the sun don't shine. I work for a living. I drive a taxi here in town. Part-time now because I'm retired since September of last year, but I know what the working people of this county, the state, and this country, I know how they feel. I know what they go through on a day-to-day basis to put food on the table, to put a roof over their head, to send their kids to school. My kids are all out of school now, but it's tough. And there's still, the unemployment is still too high. And, you know, the people that are working, they're paying higher taxes. And there are other ways to generate revenue without raising taxes on the citizens of this county and in this state. And
Do you have any specific suggestions about that? And do they really need more money?
well,
The governments take 40% of, and it's going to 50%, you know, it goes to 50% of everything produced by the private sector in this country. The government takes almost 50%.
I understand that.
Do they need more?
Government is too big, and government needs to learn what every working man and woman in this country has known for years. You have to live within your means. You can't go out here and recklessly spend money as a government and expect to raise taxes on the citizens to pay for it.
Well,
How are you gonna
they
buy
do-
votes if you don't do that?
yeah.
How are you gonna get elected if you're not paying Santa Claus? You gotta give all the electric something.
Well,
I'm saying that facetiously, of course, but that's the way the government runs. They buy votes. Everything they do is to buy their constituents. Pay them off, buy them, get their vote. That's why we're bringing all these Syrians in here without IDs or anything, because they have a tendency to vote Democratic. That's why we're letting prisoners, felons, vote in West Virginia, because they're gonna vote for Hillary Clinton. And Terry McAuliffe, the governor, is one of her operatives.
Terry McAuliffe is the governor of Virginia.
Terry McAuliffe,
Virginia, not West Virginia.
West Virginia. Did I say
No.
West Virginia?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's West Virginia, isn't
No,
he?
he's Virginia.
Oh,
I thought.
Sure?
I thought.
oh,
Maybe I'm
okay.
wrong.
Well, anyways.
Anyway, that's beside the point.
Yeah, yeah, it's,
So,
it's, the
but-
government's
But
corrupt.
you've observed this with the people that you've worked with.
absolutely. Yeah. The government, like I said, needs to live within their means. And
They specifically do not want that, though.
I know they
They
don't
want to
that.
drop their wish list and then burden us, throw the burden on us to provide the money to do it.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's
That's
totally
what
backwards.
That's what they've been doing. They promise you the moon, and then once they're elected, they give you the shaft.
Yeah.
Or as a famous singer one time, you know, she gets the gold mine, I get the shaft. You know, and that's basically what the government's saying. You know, you give me the gold mine and I'll give you the shaft.
That's right. That's what they do.
And that's not what it's supposed to be. A lot of people refer to this country as a democracy. This is not a democracy. The Constitution was written specifically as a constitutional republic, a representative republic. That's why it says, and to the republic for which it stands.
Yeah, but
And-
they did away with that when we started electing the senators by popular vote. Prior to 1919 or 1914, whenever it was, they were selected by the state. And so that was a major attack in the way that you're saying. It took away the republic aspect and introduced the democratic aspect, and we haven't recovered from that.
Well, we need to recover from that.
Yeah, but it'll take another constitutional amendment to put it back straight.
Well, all I'm saying is that as elected officials, you make promises to the people who elect you. You should keep those promises. You should do what you say you're gonna do and not sell your soul to the devil.
Yeah, but my theory about that is we start off with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. It should be our leaders pledging allegiance to the people.
Absolutely, and that's what I intend to do.
Instead, we're pledging our allegiance to these con men.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I will pledge my allegiance to the people, because we, the people, will speak again.
Yeah.
We the people have been cut out of the government for so long.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
I will make a pledge to the people that I will stand for you, I will stand by you, I will stand with you, and together we will retake our country.
Yeah.
We will retake our state.
And have you talked to people in your district? You're in District 12, is that right?
Yes.
And how do you have an opponent in the primary, or are you going to the general election?
Well, I have, unlike my state senate race 2 years ago.
Oh, you ran for state senate 2 years ago.
And I also ran in '08. I ran against John Lee in '08.
Oh, really?
But
In the Senate District 1?
yes, Senate District 1.
Okay, and then
the
last year?
Redistricting of 2012 put me in a different district, so I was up.
What was that district?
That was District 21.
Senate District 21.
Right.
I see. And who is
Mark
these?
Menendo.
Mark Menendo.
He was redistricted into 21 from
Oh.
District 9.
Oh, really?
And he had been elected 2 years prior, so he was, which made me, the district wasn't up for re-election in 2012. That's the reason
Yeah.
why I had to wait 2 more years for 2014.
Oh, yeah, right.
But you know, I just feel like that public representatives should be, they're elected by the people, they should represent the people.
No, but they represent themselves, and they represent the special interests
Absolutely,
that will give them money.
that's right.
That's basically what it comes down to. It's a corrupt system, as Donald Trump says.
It is, it absolutely is. And as Donald Trump says, I want to make Nevada great again,
Okay.
you know?
And so, what specific things would you do in Nevada?
Well, for one thing, it's been been brought up in the legislature in several previous sessions, the concept of the lottery. We are one of, I think.
But you want to
7
give the government more money?
Well, we're one of 7 states that does not participate in the
Okay.
lottery, okay? They want additional revenue for schools, for education. That's what the lottery is for.
Yeah,
My home state of Georgia, where I came from, they participate in the lottery.
yeah,
And the proceeds from the lottery have done tremendous work for the Hope Scholarship, which here in Nevada, the Millennium Scholarship was patterned after the Hope Scholarship in Georgia.
oh, really?
And, but
And so you feel that spending that additional money in Georgia has helped the schools?
absolutely.
Because it's used for scholarships, or because it's used for the schools?
Well, it's used for education across the board, not only for scholarships, but it also goes for K through 12.
For the expenses of operating
Right.
schools?
Absolutely. And, you know, people don't like paying taxes, but they like playing the lottery.
Yeah, they sure do.
And
The lines down in,
when the Powerball or the Megabucks jackpots get, you know, 250 million or 400 million or whatever, people can't get down to the state line fast enough to spend
That's
their
right.
money for lottery tickets.
yeah, that's right.
Just picture how much revenue the state of Nevada is losing to California and Arizona and all these other bordering states that have the lottery.
Yeah,
Because people they don't mind spending their money for that. But they don't like paying taxes.
well, but don't you think it'd be a good idea to substitute the money to lower people's taxes that are earned instead by the lottery, rather than creating new programs? Or would you want to create new programs?
Well, I don't necessarily say create new programs, but we have to make sure that the parents have a bigger role in their children's education. You know,
That's right.
we shouldn't, just because of a person's zip code, shouldn't be telling them where they have to send their children to school.
So you would recommend offering free choice to
Free
any
choice
school?
for any school, and for lower income families, that's what the lottery money would help
Yeah.
in that area as well.
Are you aware of the ESAs, the education savings accounts, that the state introduced last year, but that have been tied up in the court, where the parent of any child who is in public schools can get $5,000, approximately $5,000, and use it in any educational environment. But that's tied up by the ACLU and by the school establishment, and so it hasn't been employed yet. And so that people call that the greatest school choice bill in the entire country, but unfortunately it hasn't been implemented yet.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, the schools don't like it. They keep repeating the lie that this is going to take money away from the schools. But the parents and the child only have $5,000 to quote unquote play with, and that's the money that comes from the state. The school, if they take their child out of public school, and send him to another school, or home school, or to send him to a charter school, or not charter school, send him to another educational system, then the state or the school district actually has more money per child because they have all the local money, the property tax money, the funds that come for grants from the federal government, the federal funding in general, the construction funds. It amounts to about $4,000 a year per child. And if they have fewer students in the public school system, they have more money per child, yet they keep repeating the lie. Oh, you're taking money away from us, you're taking money away. It's a total lie, and they get away with repeating it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is, if they had quality teachers in the public schools, and they didn't try, if they would educate these children instead of indoctrinate them, teach them how to think for themselves instead of what to think according to status quo.
Yeah.
Their education dollars will go a lot further.
Yeah, I think that's a big problem, a tendency in high school. I think that's why children lose interest, because they're not taught to explore, to learn on their own. They're not taught, as you say, how to learn. And they're stifled in the school. In fact, a lot of people call it the pipeline, the school to prison pipeline, because it's basically a very similar environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know, when I was a child going to school, they taught us basic math. We didn't have calculators.
Yeah.
They taught us how to do it, and we did it. Give you an example, I went into a convenience store one afternoon, I bought a few items, and I gave the young lady a $20 bill. And before she could ring it up and the computer could tell her how much change she owed me back, I said, you owe me such and such. And she said, how did you do that?
How
I
did
said,
you do that?
I learned
How
math.
did you do that?
I learned math in school. I was taught
Yeah,
how to think.
yeah. Yeah,
So that's what we need to do today, is we need to teach children how to think,
yeah.
how to think on their own.
How to discover and how to learn on their own, that's right.
Absolutely.
Right. What other parts are there of your platform, or what else are you discussing with people
Well,
besides taxes and education?
I've talked to veterans, and I know the state of Nevada gives veterans an exemption every year on their vehicle registration.
Okay.
And that's well and good, but there are a number of states, and Georgia is one of them. As I said, that's where I was born and raised, but I have come here and made Las Vegas and made Nevada my home. Any active duty military personnel or veterans, if they've ever served in the armed forces, do not have to pay for their driver's license.
Oh, really?
And I feel like that's an extra added bonus that we here in Nevada could also do for our veterans.
I see.
And I'm gonna push it hard.
I see. And so you think the state should offer more opportunities to veterans? Why not have the federal government take care of the veterans, take that money out of the Defense Department budget instead of having so many wars? Why not force the people that are making these wars and causing people to have these problems pay for it?
Well, that goes to the federal government.
Yeah.
Okay, that's.
And you're saying that
But
the state government
the states can also take care of their citizens who happen to be veterans.
Yeah.
There's too much unemployment among veterans.
And so why do you think that exists?
I really don't know, because it shouldn't exist. when our fighting men and women come back, and they re-enter civilian life, they should be priority one as far as employers.
Yeah,
They have discipline, they're taught discipline from day one.
so why do they have such difficulty
And-
in reintegrating into the economy?
I really don't know, but I didn't have that problem.
What was your story?
Well, I went into the Marine Corps in 1971, and in 1971 they were, at that time they were pulling all the Marines out of Vietnam, and the Army was still there, but so I never had to actually go over and fight in combat. But when I came out, I went back to work for the company that I was working for when I entered the military, and shortly thereafter, I was hired with the police department.
After you got out of the
After I got out,
I see.
after I got out of the military. But there are a lot of veterans that actually see combat action, that combat action really does something to their mind. When you live side by side with other individuals, and you develop friendships, and you develop relationships with these other men and women, and then you are pushed into a combat zone and you see your friends killed and and maimed, even if they're not killed, very badly wounded.
Yeah,
And it does something to your psyche.
I see.
And some of them can recover, some of them can put it behind them and recover from it, some of them can't. But
What does it take so that they're able to do that? Why are some able to and others aren't?
if I knew that, I'd be a very wealthy man.
Oh, really?
I'd be the number one psychiatrist. that-
Even though you were involved, you don't know the answer to
But
that.
some people, that's just like when you have a family member that dies.
Okay,
You grieve, you have a grieving period for a while, and then life must go on.
yes,
I lost my dad in 1998.
okay,
But that doesn't mean that he's not still in my heart and not
Yes.
still in my mind. But I don't let his passing affect
your life.
how my life and
Yeah.
how I live it and how I raise my kids. My kids, I keep him in their mind, but it doesn't, his passing doesn't control my
Yeah,
life.
right, yeah.
And, I guess that some people can distinguish between that and some people can't, but,
So is this a problem that has to be solved by people, by individuals, by families working with family members, by society members working with veterans, or can it be institutionalized?
well, I don't think it needs to be institutionalized, but, the VA does have psychologists that, if they need that, can talk to them.
Yeah. And so that's useful.
Yes, that's useful.
What is useful, what is the state doing that's useful?
I don't know that the state's doing anything
Oh, really?
that's in that particular area.
Yeah,
But, if you have family support and, you can talk to your family and just let it go.
Yeah,
You know, you don't have to forget, but you don't have to let it control you. And I haven't forgotten
So
my
it's-
father, but I don't let his passing control me.
yeah,
Because I've got kids of my own, and I've got to make sure that
they're free to live.
they're free to live their lives. And now my son just 2 months ago just had a brand new baby girl, and my daughter is expecting in September. So at the age of 62, I finally became a grandfather.
Oh, really?
So, but you know, this is the greatest country in the world, and there's no reason why there should be so many people that are homeless, out of work.
Yeah, why is that? Why do you think there's so many homeless people?
Well, there's
I think it's the regulations and the difficulty in for people fixing up houses, the inability to have more than a certain number of people in a house. The government wants homeless funds from the federal government. In fact, I told the county commission last Tuesday, or no, today's Tuesday, today's Wednesday. Yeah, a week ago. Well, why don't you do two things. You build houses for $300 a square foot and have all these expensive help programs that only reach a small portion of the homeless population, and the great majority of the homeless are living under the streets and in the drainage channels, in the desert, and all this. Why not come to some sort of a median where you spend the money on creating a tent city or something where their belongings are secure, where they can take a shower, where they can go to work, and without having to have this huge burden. And of course, that didn't have any effect on the commission because they want to say, oh, they want to break the ribbon cut the ribbon on a new housing project for veterans. When houses cost $50 a square foot or $100 a square foot, they want to go build new ones for $300. When there are tens of thousands of vacancies in houses that could be used, they have no business sense about them.
none of them do.
Yeah.
The government has no business sense.
That's my opinion. Though. What's your opinion about
The
homelessness?
government has no business sense. I feel, like a lot of people feel, that there are too many illegal immigrants in this country.
Okay.
And I know that it's not feasible to go and round up 11 million illegal immigrants in this country. I know that's not cost feasible. What is cost feasible is having an e-verify system, and if they're here illegally, one, they cannot get a job, they cannot get housing, cut off their free welfare, cut off their food stamps. If they're here illegally, they cannot register their kids in school. You take away their gravy train and they'll leave here on their own. If you make it to where it's not worth coming to the United States because you're not going to get the free stuff, they won't even come over here. They'll stay where they come from.
You think they will?
I think they will.
But in Mexico, our drug war caused 60,000 people to be killed last year.
I understand
When
that.
their security, for a lot of these people, their security is threatened. And so, I don't know, it's difficult for us to imagine living under that circumstance where at any minute your children could be killed, or you could be killed, or your wife could be raped. If those are real threats, what would you do under that circumstance? Would you stay there or would you move?
Well, I wouldn't want to live under that threat either. But I would.
But that's what we've imposed on Mexico.
But I
Our
wouldn't.
drug war has done that.
Well, you know, there are a lot of.
In
I mean,
Honduras and.
I've seen it on documentaries where the tunnels, the drug tunnels, where they bring it
Well,
across.
that's what drug wars do.
Yeah.
They create prosperity for drug dealers and for policemen. Those are the beneficiary, and for government. Those are the beneficiary of wars. It isn't the people. The people are the ones that are getting killed.
If I lived under that particular threat of my family being killed by drug cartels, certainly I would want to get out of that situation as well. But I would attempt to do it
So with the
legally.
loss of income, if you moved to another country, would the loss of income impact you as much as the fear of having to go back? Would you do almost anything to avoid having to go back?
Well, at the point that I would leave, I would do it legally. So that I would not,
Yeah.
if I went to another country, I would not be there under the threat of deportation because I'm illegal. I'm
Yeah.
in the country illegally.
Yeah.
If you do it,
But almost
this
every
country-
country makes it difficult for people to move.
we in this
Legal
country
immigrants.
welcome legal immigration.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone that lives in this country whose roots come from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, Native Americans.
My family, I have Cherokee Indian in my family's tree. I have
And so where did they come
Scotch,
from?
Irish, Dutch. There's so many different nationalities
In your.
in my family
Yeah, right.
tree.
So where did your Cherokee ancestors come from?
From my mother's side of the family in Alabama.
No, but where did they come from? What country did they come from?
Well, they were part of the Cherokee that were here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're the only
Yeah,
real
they were
natives.
the
Right.
only real Native Americans.
Right, yeah.
And what have we done to them? They're forced to live on reservations.
Yeah.
Um,
And so do you think that's a good idea or a bad idea?
I don't think that forcing the Native American community, I don't think it's right for the government to make them live on reservations. If they choose, if that's where they choose, then fine. But under the Constitution, we have freedom of choice.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you're Native American, I don't care if you're white, if you're black,
Yeah.
if you're wherever, what nationality you are, or where your family tree comes from, we have freedom of choice in this country.
Yeah. And so have you had the opportunity to work with any Native Americans? Any
No, I haven't.
Cherokee or, no? It'd be interesting to have some personal insight. Almost no one knows the circumstance of these people.
That's right. No one
Yeah.
knows.
Well, I really appreciate you coming by. Did you want to say anything else? Tell us how to get in touch with your campaign, or if you want volunteers, if you want contributions. What needs do you have? How can people help you get elected? How can we help you?
Well, I don't have my website complete yet. It should be up and running by Friday.
Okay.
But it's going to be McGinnis4Nevada.com.
Is that F-O-R?
That's the number.
Number 4.
McGinnis number 4
Yeah.
Nevada.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm going to lay out everything because I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of getting ripped off by the government.
Okay.
I'm not a spoon-fed Harvard grad. I got my degree from the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
I know how people feel. I know what they go through on a day-to-day basis to
So you'd be a good one to be up in the legislature,
Absolutely.
because you understand what people are going through.
I understand.
Are you able to communicate with people in your district?
I do. Every time I go to the grocery store, I talk.
Yeah.
I talk to people. I pass out my cards. I introduce myself.
Oh, I see.
I say I just live down the street. I'm in the neighborhood.
Oh, I see.
And you know, I know what it feels like to have to ride the bus to go to work.
Yeah.
2 months before the election in 2014, the transmission went out in my old truck.
Yeah. And so you had to take
And
money.
I didn't, at the time, I didn't have the money to put a new transmission in the
Yeah.
truck. So in order to get back and forth to work, I rode the bus.
Yeah.
And I talked
Hardly
to
anyone
everyone
does
on the
that.
bus.
Oh, really?
You know,
Oh, very good.
I know what it feels like to have to walk.
Yes.
And so I know.
Yeah.
I know the trials and tribulations of everyday life.
Okay.
You know, you won't find a golden spoon hanging, sitting on my mouth and say, I was born with this in my mouth. That's not me.
Well-
I'm just a common fellow. I say what's on my mind. I
Yeah,
speak.
very good.
And, you know, I came from, you know, humble background and you know, my daddy always told me, son, if you want something out of life, you gotta work for it. Nobody's gonna give
Yeah.
you anything.
Well,
And all I'm trying to do is present the opportunity for people to better themselves with job opportunities and educational opportunities for their children.
and without having the government.
Without
on your
having
back.
the government.
Yeah. Well, thank you for walking over here and talking to us today.
My
It's been
pleasure.
very interesting, and can we have your card?
Yes.
Yeah.
They have one,
Oh,
and if
okay.
you want to leave some on the table over there.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, you're welcome to do that.
There's people in and
Okay.
out of here all day long.
Okay.
My card has my email address. Anyone can, if there's
Okay.
anyone that, if any particular question or any concern they have, they can always send me an email. My personal cell phone is on that card.
Okay.
I'll make sure that if people want to get in touch with me, they can get in touch with me, and if elected, I will be readily available to any of my constituents. If they want to call me on the phone, they want to knock on my door, they want to come to my office, they want to
Yeah.
sit down and talk, I'll be more than happy to sit down and talk. I will not duck them and dodge them and have some secretary at the door said, well, he's out of town, or
Yeah, right.
he's busy, he's at a meeting. I will make time for my
Okay.
constituents.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for
It's a
coming.
pleasure.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Ed, for stopping by.
Thank you.
And,
Thank
see
you for
tomorrow, maybe. We have some,
the opportunity.
couple people coming up tomorrow. Are you aware of the times and all that and what's going
Yeah.
on?
Okay.
Is that
Thank
all,
you.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, good.